Hey, I'm Lauren, certified building biologist, wellness interior designer, and healthy home educator. I want to welcome you to the House Holistics podcast, where we explore how healthy buildings create healthy people. I'll be bringing you life-enhancing conversations with some of the brightest minds in the world. Perhaps your full potential is on the other side of a healthier environment. I'm your host, Lauren Rade. Let's go deeper. You were on Wendy Meyer's podcast recently, right?
Yeah.
How did that
Yeah.
go?
Oh, it was awesome. Wendy, out of all of the podcasts that I've done over the last couple of years, she brought such a massive audience. It was huge of how many people contacted me through her podcast. Like it was pretty like there was no other podcast that compared to that. It
Yeah,
was pretty incredible.
yeah. She has an
And she
amazing
has she
audience.
has she has a very loyal following.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like, just because just from people watching that podcast, it was like, "So, hey, you're the guy, you're the person, you're the one that I need to talk to." Like, so it was like everything was already pre-qualified by them just watching the podcast.
I mean, it's true, right? When we are following someone online, especially that we have vetted and we trust, we
Yeah.
often trust their contacts. And so
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, the people that reached out to you from listening to that podcast, were they sick? Were they wanting to optimize their health? Where were they in the spectrum?
Man, it was all over. Like, it was a broad spectrum, right? There was that was what that's why I like the audience, right? Because there's a lot of people in there looking for optimizing. Hey, I want to just make my home healthy because I'm into health and wellness, right? And then of course you have the audience that they're looking for solutions to, you know, clean up their home, and heal, right? So it was kind of a pretty even mix, which is great to see, right? Because before it was everybody, that's looking for a solution because they're sick, and they're working with like functional doctor or whatever, and like they're trying to find the solution to clean up their home. Um, Now it's the audience that's catching on, like, hey, I just want a healthy home. Like, I just want to optimize my health. And, so that's a pretty awesome conversion. And I've just noticed that in over the last 2 years.
Yeah, the prevention-minded folks, right?
Yeah.
With a lot of the research that has come out about, our toxic burden filling up, filling up, filling up, and then overflowing. I think it's great
Yep.
to hear that there are people that, I mean, want to prevent that from happening. I would say this week alone, I received 3 inquiries specifically from clients who are suffering from mold toxicity,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
want to totally start over and build new.
Mm-hmm.
This morning, I just received an inquiry from someone who is preventative mindset. They want a healthy
Yeah.
home to make
Yeah.
sure that they don't get to that point of illness, sickness, disease. And I think it's important, Brian, for us to share the types of people that are reaching out to us, um, because there is a group of people that think we have no clients because of the work we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite the opposite.
That was definitely the start for me. Like,
Right.
Brian, what you're doing is just so like far out there. Like you're catering to the 0.01% of the population.
Yeah, totally. Totally. So, when I saw that, Instagram post you did, I think it was with Wendy, and it said something along the lines of, like, at first they laughed and now they're, recognizing this is such a important field of environmental health.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, even contractors and trades, it's starting to ripple out, and people are catching on to it now. But when I started 5 years ago, well, when I really launched, like full scale what I'm doing 5 years ago, it was yeah, I was definitely on my own. Because even like on social media, there wasn't really being it wasn't being posted even on social media. It's pretty funny, you know?
Mhm.
And now it's like just this year alone, I've noticed that several companies pop up,
Mhm.
in the health space of like health and wellness and building
Right.
home, healthy home assessments, healthy home consulting. And I'm like, okay, cool, right? Like, I need this community here because it legitimizes everything I started.
No, totally. So we actually have a great Instagram live together that we did. I want to say it was, gosh, earlier this year. And we go into a little bit more about the work you do with ram dirt
Yeah,
and ICF and mass wall construction. And we talk about this difference of why do we have to distinguish what makes a healthy home healthy? I mean, so much of our
yeah,
work is distinguishing. Like there is a massive difference. So for listeners,
yeah.
I would
What is a healthy home?
say that again.
What is a healthy home?
Literally, it's like, what does that
Right?
even mean?
Yeah, because you go to like working with my clients, I'm like, if you go to your contractor without plans and you just say, "Hey, I want a healthy home," a contractor is going to look at you like, "You mean like a green, eco-friendly? Like, what's a healthy home? What does that mean?"
Uh-huh.
Right?
Totally. And, even I just went to the Natural Building Alliance
Yeah.
conference in Rocky Mountain last week in Montana, and even just the
Yes.
difference with green building and building biology principles is profound. I mean, like, I think a lot of times green building gets so focused on getting to net zero and,
Yeah.
saving the planet that the health of the occupant gets completely sacrificed. And I think that's
Oh yeah.
where, as building biologists, we just completely kind of detour. Don't you agree?
Oh, 100%. I was gonna say, is that still a thing? Is that
Green
is that
building?
still happen? Yeah, yeah. I haven't been getting out there to too many of the conventions lately, but is the green building still pretty like I'm so focused on the health, which it's a totally different turn, right? It's like they have if you're already building for health, more than likely you're kind of building green and
Right.
net zero anyways,
Uh-huh.
So but yeah, like I'm so deep into the world of healthy, I forgot that the green out there even exists.
It still exists, totally, but yeah, I mean, when you take care of the occupant inside the built environment, you naturally take care of the planet, and I think just the building biology world, I'm just so grateful to be in it with colleagues like yourself who just have that pure understanding.
Well, that was really cool that was pretty awesome that you got to go to that, and then, of course, meet a mutual acquaintance of ours, Joseph Becker with
Yes.
Faswall, and then you got to tour the Orthodox church where they're building the Faswall, right?
It was so cool, Brian. I mean, okay, so I asked, it must have been one of the, priest's sons. He was there with Joseph and our whole crew touring the church. And I asked
Uh-huh.
him, I said, "Hey, I'm so curious. Why did you guys not go with light frame stick construction? Like, obviously, you're a church.
Awesome question.
You care about finances. You care about, honoring the church's
Yep.
money."
Yeah.
And he very simply said, "Because we want this church around here 500 plus years from now."
There you go. Awesome.
Doesn't
Awesome.
that say it all?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's all the health, but like they're getting a healthy building by default, but the goal is like, hey, just like Europe, you have all of these, churches that are been around for, hundreds of years,
Mhm.
right? I like that. That's that or Russia, right? Because it was Russian Orthodox or something,
I
right?
think it was
So
Russian Orthodox, yes.
yeah, yeah, so it's like all of these temples and everything that have been around for 100 years, why can't we have them here? That's cool. That's a great story.
So have you found that it's an easy sell for clients to choose Faswall?
It's a little well, it's educating, right? Not a lot of people understand it, or because Fastball uses the term ICF, right, or ICCF, and it's a term that's been around for the last 30, 40 years. And with that term carries like a nuance, right? Like, cause that's my background, right? So of course I'm partial to the Fastwall, but I'm partial to Fastwall for a very specific multiple of reasons. But what drew me to Fastwall is because it was an ICF builder. That was my first home was building an ICF in 2003. And, of course I'm drawn to that, but the more that I started understanding and working with the material over the last several years, I'm like, this is an ICF. This is just like this is like concrete block on steroids. That's a healthy version of that, right? And so because of that ICF term, contractors want to steer clear from that because a contractor, they have their ways of, framing and wood and, you start talking about ICF, the conventional foam type ICF blocks. There's a special sets of tools, bracing, like there's like $100,000 worth of just braces that you need to invest or rent when you're doing these things. But then you have to learn how to like work with these braces to
Mhm.
stack these walls and to make sure that you're pouring straight walls, right? And so with the contractor side of things, that's what they think. They're like ICF,
I'm out.
hey, thanks, but no thanks, right?
Yep.
And then the homeowner, so it's education for the homeowner, of course, right? Um, and of course, Faswall, and that's like my number one. I promote it to everybody and I praise it because I'm trying to convert all the contractors. Like, look, all we need is masons. You just need a small crew of masons along with your framing material. Boom, we can build this house and it's going to be far superior to wood framed, right? But then there's the piece of usually when a client finds me, they're already pretty far into like the architecturals.
Right.
And then you have to change your footprint around because now you're figuring like a 12-inch because it's a mass wall, it's a 12-inch block. Then now if I can like, and that's what I do right now. So if I can get in before the architect, I definitely make a push with the fast wall. And then of course with that is trying to find like a general contractor and educate them like, hey, look, this isn't your conventional type of ICF construction. The bracing is minimal. This block design was designed to be DIY. This is a DIY type of
Yes.
a system. This is a system a homeowner could build themselves, right?
That
Like
Russian Orthodox Church, the church members are building that structure.
they are. Oh, that's so cool.
And
I didn't know that.
Joseph is there consulting and guiding, but
There you go.
the church members are
There
doing
it
it.
is. I mean, the perfect, the segue into like the whole DIY section. So I'm like, okay, look, if a homeowner can DIY it, come on, the contractor can build it, right? Come on,
Right.
and right, and I've done several projects where we'll bring in the masons, and masons love it, right? Because the blocks are lighter, they're bigger, they're interlocking, they're easier to work with. It's a pretty awesome system. So if we can educate the contractors on the simplicity and just kind of like, hey, let's kind of take the term ICF out of it and just let's focus more of the term of, hey, this is just it's like a block,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I think we can do this,
Yeah. So describe for the listener real briefly what it's made of, what the material is, how you would necessarily apply it. Because with the church, they use foam instead of mortar.
The poly ISO
Right,
insert.
which is, like, not I asked about it, and
Yeah,
I think because it is a bit of a DIY situation, it was one of those things
yeah,
they weren't worried about.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. So it's a composite, block. It's actually pretty simple. So they're taking reclaimed wood, basically grinding it and then creating like a slurry with like lime mineral. So now the slurry base is like it's a natural antimicrobial, right? So because they're grinding wood and wood particles. So if there's any concern of the mold, it's like, well, it's being encased and sealed by, the cement slurry that makes the composite, right? And of course, they just make molds out of it. And they make specific molds that it's just an oversized block that it's all interlocking and has cutouts. It's engineered very specific. So the way that, you lay steel in it, it's easy to put your steel through there because it is steel reinforced concrete walls. And then when you actually pour the concrete through the walls, it creates like this grid pattern. So structurally, it's a very, I mean, it's a seismic superior wall, right? It's a wall that's rated up to 250-mile-an-hour winds, like,
It's amazing.
but the composite itself is like a mold resistant, right? And so since we're filling those cells with either a polyiso insert, so they have these little inserts that just go into the cells, right? Or the mineral rock wool insert. So the mineral rock wool is going to give you like a higher R value. I think what is it, R28?
I was gonna say
Don't hold
30,
me.
but it might be 28.
Yeah, it's under 30, but you know, now we kind of get into it's apples to oranges. So like if we were to compare our value against a stick framed wall versus an R value on a mass wall like the fast wall, there's no comparison because now you have the thermal mass value, right? Like the U factor, there's different factors in that, so it's not even even though it's like R28 doesn't sound as high, it's in my opinion, it's kind of more equivalent to probably like an R40, you know, in reality. But that's the thermal property that they measure it to, and that's what they come up with without the thermal characteristics of what the wall does, what a mass wall does, whether it's hempcrete wall or a rammed earth wall, right? Because it's holding and storing that energy.
And then you can plaster right over it with lime or clay. I mean, there's all
Yeah,
kinds of wall application.
yeah, you can, but it's a little more work than that, right? Because like the blocks are perfect,
They
and
flake a little.
well, yeah, they do, but they're just not like so precise to where there's a little bit of irregularities to it. Even blocks a little more precision, on a slump block, but um so if you're going to drywall it or whatever, if you're going to plaster it, you're going to be putting a lot of plaster up on the wall, which is fine. I mean, it's great. And but it's not just like this perfectly
Right.
flat, smooth wall. Just full disclaimer for anybody that's getting ready to build, like there's going to be a little bit of work on. Sometimes it's just easier to use a mold resistant fiberglass paperless type of a drywall, and then just shim it out, with like a composite shim. It's just easier that way, you know.
Totally. The Russian Orthodox Church, because it was a DIY approach, some of the blocks, weren't shimmied in the best, right?
Yeah.
And because it's a Orthodox church, they wanna plaster it because that's traditional
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
to their faith and to the churches. So,
Yeah,
and they're gonna do Brian, they're gonna do
and
all
for
of
the
that
sound
plastering
and
work.
everything. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
doing it all. It's pretty incredible. And so I just want to say, like, if you are in the audience and you're considering this building material for your wall assembly, go out and look at one of these structures. I know on the Faswall
yeah,
website they have different places all over the country where this material is going up,
they do.
and it's
Yeah,
worth somebody actually going to see it and feel it. I mean, it's why you're so passionate, Brian, to actually create structures so people can see them and experience them and touch them,
yes,
because a
yes,
lot of this work is, it's kind of a quantum leap from, what we're used to conventional construction, and
yeah,
so
oh, yeah,
people really do
yeah.
have to touch it and feel it to kinda make that connection.
It's a quantum leap, but yet it's like old technology from
Yes.
thousands
Yes.
of years ago, right? Like
Yes.
we just got super creative and we create these blocks that create a mold so we can like pour our earth and our dirt and cement or whatever into, right? Yeah, and like I have some projects down here in Tucson. But there's projects, like you said, there's projects all over, but I have a rammed earth home going on, and we just pretty much finished the Faswall project, but we'll have many more. So I brought a contractor in on this Faswall build here in Tucson, Arizona. And this is a really cool story here, just real quick. This builder, probably one of the best builders I've met. Like, I'm so fortunate to bring somebody. And this builder was like, hey, yeah, I'm totally down to building this healthy home, this non-toxic home for a client that has been diagnosed multiple chemical sensitivities and mold and stuff, right? And so I thought that was so awesome that this contractor's like, yeah, hey, let's learn what a healthy home is, you know? And so we built with a Faswall block. And then at the end of the project, I'm like, what do you think? Because he wanted to kind of put the numbers together and do comparison. But his way of building was using 2x8 construction. And then they would do what's referred to like a Western 3-coat stucco. So it's a 3-coat stucco system's like 1 inch thick, on the outside of the wall here in the Southwest, because he's more of like this Southwest kind of a builder with all of the parapet walls, and all that rustic with the sawteel pavers, something you would see like in New
It's
Mexico or
vernacular,
Arizona,
right,
right?
to the region.
Yeah, 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 awesome. Great. I love his style of building. So, but they also do 1 inch stucco or plaster on the inside. So they're building a 2x8 wall, R32, with 1 inch stucco inside and outside.
Wow.
Their homes are like next
Huh,
level, and it's all hand, they're using
amazing.
all that diamond finish for the ins it's just that level, what you expect when you walk in to see plaster finished home, right? No cracks, no nothing, because just their construction's so tight. And so he said, we're so convinced we will, they're already building right now. We'll use the block because we can build the block with just doing a standard stucco finish outside. Maybe they're just like, well, we'll probably just do drywall, and then we could still just do like a mineral based paint, or just a skim coat of plaster or lime something, on the inside, just to kind of make it easier, more practical.
Right.
But they'll be able to build using that system a lot cheaper than how they were conventionally building it before, and now they're getting a healthy wall system out of the whole deal, right? So less money, healthier wall, but of course they were comparing it against something that was already pretty elaborate what they were creating, you know?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Sounds like it is kind of a no-brainer for them, especially, I mean,
Yeah.
l when homes are being built in a healthy way, they're focusing on longevity and occupant health, but, I mean, so many of our homes are planned for 30 or 40 years,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
sprinkle in some building
Unfortunately.
failures in between. And
Yeah.
I just love Faswall because of the 100, 200, 300, 500 plus year possibility or more.
Yep. Yep. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you on there, because we're looking at, you want to talk about like net zero and green and all that stuff. Well, if you're building a structure that's lasting, 3 to 500 years, I think you're definitely contributing to that versus, a sick home that's can't even be decomposed, naturally into
right,
the earth, right?
right. So, Brian, I'm curious your answer to this question. This was a question that was proposed during the Natural Building Alliance conference that I was just at by the keynote speaker. Her name is Ace, and I'm forgetting her co-partner's name, but they do natural building with straw bale, and her partner does adobe bricks. And so the question that they brought to the table was, what building material do you resonate with and why? Because we all are kind of gravitating to a natural building material for a reason. And as I was thinking about my answer to their question, like, I realize I naturally gravitate to any earthen based building material because I grew up with a father who was a fossil hunter, and I lived in historic Yorktown, and so our hands were always in the dirt, and I've just
Hmm.
naturally been drawn to cob, plasters, clay specifically, just because of my
Yeah.
ethos and my roots. But of course, we have crystals coming in mineral paint. We have straw coming in from that kind of texture, also from the earth. But we have such a variety of natural building materials that we work with, and I'm curious. For you, Brian, is there a material that you just are drawn to naturally?
100%, and that was in like I said, 2003, when I was building ICF. Of course, it was, foam blocks, but I was more into it for the concrete, because I love working with like cement. And of course, cement takes up 8% of the world's, energy consumption for clinker cements and all that. So I understand all that, right? But there's also, other alternatives in different ways, and which led me into years moving forward, which led me to like rammed earth. So you and I are very similar because I was always I always had this I always had this thing for like earth, like I was always digging into hillsides and, creating caves and, like my swimming pool, like other kids, had swimming pools, and me, I was digging holes and like filling them with water and having mud holes, it's just, anyway, so like I was just always drawn to the dirt, right? Um, and so years later, that's what led me to round earth, because then it was like, oh, because you're using concrete as the binder, and then you're sourcing all your local aggregates and you're coming up with your certain blends, and then you can like layer. Oh, another two, when I was in concrete, because I did concrete work for most of my career. And so it started off home building with concrete, and then I just went all concrete. And then I had multiple divisions of different concrete systems that we did. We did waterproofing, chemical containment, polished concrete floors, and then poured concrete, but decorative concrete. There was a system it was called lithocrete. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's very, very expensive concrete system, right? It's a proprietary system. But with lithocrete, you used to do the sedimentary walls. And they pretty much got the concept and idea from like rammed earth, because
Wow.
rammed earth was these
Layered.
sediment, layers, right? And so that's ultimately, it kind of brought me back to the round earth,
Mm,
because I was like, oh, this
beautiful.
kind of reminds me of like the lithocrete and kind of what we were doing with concrete. And so I just gravitated to that. And of course, the hempcrete, I think, is really super fascinating, on the whole grinding process. For me, it was the hemp, so then it's like you're learning all these different things. And then you start gravitating to what system resonates for you, right? Hempcrete, super fascinating. Thought it was a little bit more labor intensive. Um, the rammed earth is really cool. The materials themselves are inexpensive, but the investment of forms and labor is really high. So it puts it out there, right? So then here we go, full circle back to the fast wall. For me, was the solution, right? Because in 2003 I was building ICF, and I'm like, this is the perfect compromise. This is giving me similar property
Mm,
values to that of like rammed earth, but this is something practical, because my goal and mission, Lauren, is to, which is to educate and help contractors build healthy. And I'm like, this is, I wouldn't expect a contractor to say, hey, you gotta build rammed earth, or hempcrete.
mhm.
Like, that's very nuanced, and that takes a very special breed of a person to do
Yeah.
that. And it's expensive. Let's face it. It's just labor, unless you have your whole village, coming in and giving you like free labor or
Mhm.
something like that. But that's not what's happening right now. So,
Right now, it's not.
anyways,
Maybe in the future.
not right now, but it will be in the future.
Yes,
But
sir.
that's where like the block systems, like, hey, this is something I can train the contractors. This is something I can get everybody into. Now, there was and the so I grew up on, we had hay farms. I grew up on ranches.
Yeah.
That's my background too, is just growing up. And we had a lot of alfalfa farms up north. And, my family was big into horses, and, we had cattle and horses. And so we would always stored hay and straw.
Mm,
And it was always kind of an issue of, tarping, making sure everything is weatherproof, because, right, like you can't have your hay contaminated with mold, right? Horse, so for obvious reasons. Um, and so so here I am, concrete business, building, drawn to that. And then that's, the whole natural building
yeah.
works of like straw homes. So for me, I saw enough what I saw in that well, not in the industry, but and I know there's a whole building system and how it's all, if it's done right, there's no cracks and everything like that. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to build a mold resistant home. I'm just going to be more gravitated to like a solid mass, you know, building system using cement and earth, or like bringing in a little bit of the hempcrete, or the Faswall, right? So that's just my take personal take on all that.
Yeah, beautiful. Like, you were already kind of primed to be drawn to earthen-based, bio-based building
Yeah.
materials because of, your farm experience and, even regionally where you live.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it being, born and raised here in Tucson, Arizona. And by the way, I live 15 minutes away from like the godfather of rammed earth building in Arizona, Quentin Branch, very, very well known with solar rammed earth homes. And he's 15 minutes away. My mom actually took his course in 1989. It was so weird. I remember her doing that, and because she was doing all these geo samples and she was baking everything and she was sending everything out for these compressive things. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And years later, come to find out, like I go through Quentin's training course and then I put it together that my mom went through his course in 1989. It was crazy.
You know
So
what? Sometimes we can not run away from our destinies. Sometimes
there, yes,
sometimes our
yes.
destinies are so meant for us that we take a couple passes through them and then we eventually circle back, but it's very obvious, Brian, that the work you are doing is your calling. It's your ministry, it's your dharma, whatever you
Thank
wanna
you.
call it. It's very obvious that you are passionate about what you do and you care first. Like, that's your guiding principle is care.
Yeah,
And it shows through your Instagram posts, it shows even in our conversation. You care so much. And so I'm curious,
thank you.
back in July, you posted about receiving your Reiki master certification.
Yeah,
And I would love to get into a little bit more of the metaphysics behind the work that you do, because I can tell the work that you do is so interlaced spiritually with who you are.
yeah, very,
And so
very.
I would love to know how your Reiki experience influences your work and your interaction with your clients. But
Yes,
but for
yes.
someone who maybe has never heard of Reiki in the audience, can you explain what it is?
I mean, it's working with energy, right? It's energy work. I mean, these are modalities, whether it's qigong or Reiki, and there's so many different healing modalities, that come from the eastern parts of the world, right? And Reiki being one of them. And it's literally just it's working with energy, because we are energy beings, our heartbeat, I really got into it. I'll take a little bit of a step back. I've always been on the spiritual conquest and looking for answers, right? But I would say going back about 15 years ago is finally when I started connecting. I won't go too far into it, but connecting to God, right? And our purposes and things like that, right? So, which now led me on this spiritual path of I wasn't, like, organized religion, like I was part of church and just some I just never found the right church, right? Like, like this was never vibing because I was like, there's just so much more. There's just so much more out there. And, that's really what led me on the path of well, I was into biohacking, and so biohacking, we're into, like, heart coherence and heart rate variability and, like, meditation, right? Like, to, like, increase, the mental capacity and use our brain to be more effective and be able to do more, so I became a heart math coach. Uh,
Love heart math.
yeah. Yeah, like a long time ago, right? And it's cool because they, HeartMath, like they kind of show you like on the quantifiable kind of scientific level of, hey, HeartMath is scientific, right? And they really kind of I like, and that's why I gravitated because they were kind of more they were showing the science,
Uh-huh.
right?
They're big
But
into
once you really
proving that our coherent field is impacting ourselves and others. Absolutely.
yes, and believe it or not, that was the opener for me was HeartMath. and I became a practitioner, went really deep into it, but then when you really started going deeper with heart math, then there's a whole spiritual side to heart math, right? Of raising the vibration of the planet and the coherence of the planet with each one of us, right? Like you said. And so that was really kind of a door opener. So that's really what fascinated me. And then one thing leads to the next. I'm, meeting grandmasters, that studied with, grandmasters in China and, the whole crouching tiger and all this like magical stuff, right? And and I got to work with this grand Dr. Barry Morguelan, and I'm happy to say it because he was really the one that opened up the world to me. It was a program. It was called EFS, Energy for Success, right? And I got to work. I had the honor to be able to work with him, and it was amazing. Like we did a lot of energy. I actually did personal like energy work with him, and this is where I'm going with this. So we would do like it was very intentional. Like you would write, intentions and goals and manifestation and all these types of things, right? And thanks to Dr. Barry, we had actual like physical treatments together of manifestation inspiration, and he was able to share a story with me because I was just doing concrete at the time, and I knew I wasn't ready to go back into home building yet because I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do, right? And he told me the story about my life that I'm going to be building. It was incredible, right? And then after that, then all of a sudden, it wasn't too long. That's where Synergy 360 was born. It was born from these experiences, right? And becoming part of the life mission of what I'm here to do. I'm here to build healthy environments to heal people. It's really clear, and like you pointed out, right? And so then, of course, I'm on this conquest to, learn these modalities, and just I'm so fascinated because I'm like, "Y- where did Synergy 360 come from?" It was like, whoop, it was there, right? But it was really clear.
Download, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was the download. Matter of fact, thank you for that because I'm a trail runner, so I'm an athlete, and there's a certain area I would run these trails, and it was like God was speaking to me, to my heart, and it was like, "Oh, yeah, you're gonna build here,
Yeah.
and this is how you're gonna build," and it was real similar to this. I'm like, "Yeah, but what's the name?" And it was like, "Oh, well, it's source energy." So I'm like, "Oh, Synergy, of course," because
Mm.
all of the building components, everything that we do, on a building level, is to come up with building systems that all combine synergistically. So that was where Synergy 360 was like, oh yeah, Synergy, right? And then 360s because it's, Yoda says energy is all around us, right? So so I was like, I had to throw on that 360 because it's everything. It's not one thing. So we all come back 360. So anyways, and then that just led me down the path of like energy and the Reiki to become a Reiki master, it took me well, I think the training was longer than that, but the actual training itself was a 1-year certification for that. And I took the Reiki mastery for myself because I wanted to master myself and the intentions, the integrity, what I'm here, the mission, and just really start to refine that and using energy of you connecting with others, beyond heart math, beyond these other modalities, but really bringing that energy and focusing, every morning I do meditation, I do my Reiki practices, I do breath work every morning. And before I bring any intention to work, 100%, so that's ultimately why I went through like I'm a healer through building
Yes.
and delivering a product to a client. So I won't have somebody like I am practicing. I'll put somebody on the table and I'll practice doing all the Reiki energy, work on, which is really cool. But my Reiki energy work is creating and building that structure.
Brian, you are a healer cleverly disguised as a builder.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
See
Yes.
you.
You
I
do.
see you because, I have so much of the same practices. And I don't know how I would be able to show up in the same way I don't know how you would be able to show up for your clients and your workload without those personal practices. For me, it's a little bit of a mix of qigong. I love practicing qigong and the Feldenkrais
Yes.
method through Moshe Feldenkrais and Thomas Hanna and
Yes.
somatics. And
Feldenkrais, that's amazing
yes,
work.
I'm a Feldy for
Yes.
sure. But
Yes.
E every morning, yes, every morning it occurs, and if I don't practice those practices, there is something that I'm missing about the day. Something is not right.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Um,
Or if we have to pivot, like things
yeah,
happen, right?
yeah,
It's like bringing like, okay, take a breath, pivot. It's okay. Shift your sails, move with the flow. Don't fight it, right? And with those practices help bring that intention. So when you have to pivot, you're just like, okay,
mhm,
all right, let's pivot. Let's move with it, right?
yeah,
Don't fight it.
and so much of these practices are in the breath and are centering and coming back into the body.
Yeah.
And I think when we look around and we see people operating in the world, they are like I did for 3 decades of my life, living from the chest up, all in the
Yes.
head, all chatter, all thinking,
Yeah.
and there isn't a lot of embodiment, and
Hmm.
groundedness.
Yeah. Grounding.
And
Yeah.
so have you found with your own personal practices of going inside your body, have you found clients almost just, like, maybe picking up on that intuitively, like, "Oh, wow, you're so
Oh, yeah.
relaxed," or "You're so grounded." Can you talk more about client
Y- y-
experiences?
Yeah. Oh, Lauren, it's been amazing. Every client, like I'm managing like I think around 15 jobs nationally,
Wow,
all
it's
over.
a lot.
It's a lot. And
Yeah,
I'm getting ready to build 20 of my own homes and building a shop and
yeah.
it's just
Stay tuned, listener, we're
you
gonna
know,
talk about that.
but if I wasn't doing like it's crazy. If I wasn't not doing this energy, there's just no way that I could do what I'm doing. It's like an act, it's a miracle. It's act of God what I'm doing. And it truly is. And so all of these clients, there's yeah, some clients have illness they're recovering from. Believe it or not, a lot of clients are recovered, from, recovered from like Lyme's, right? And, mold toxicity. Like I'm seeing a lot of success stories out there.
Yes.
Okay. And also too, I have the clients that are just, for performance, right? And I would say it's a pretty, again, even blend of these clients, but every client everything is so intentional. All my relationships are so amazing, and we're all connected on some kind of a spiritual level, And and it's very inspiring for me because I have to show up when we're working in the world of trying to bring this health and wellness and healthy building to the mainstream contractual world of contractors and trades. Hey, there's it's not perfect. I'm gonna tell everybody that right now. Like it's not, right. Like there's a lot of miscommunication. Sometimes there's pushback. You know, um, I'll bring in a lot of specialty trades, for the client. The contractor agrees to it, but then the contractor doesn't want to you know, kind of like overlook that. And there's all this miscommunication. So when I show up on the job, it's so important that, like you said, you do that work and you ground yourself. So even though I like working with earth and, and all these grounding types of things, right? I get very in my head and start to kind of float away. So it's really important that I do my practice, that I ground. And I do a lot of trail running and I'm, swimming and things like that. So if I do my routine of running, which is another form of meditation, right? If I'm doing my swimming and I'm doing my practices, I'm grounding, I get to bring that grounded self to my clients. I get to bring it to the contractors. And then we all get to sit down and have just rooted, grounded conversations on, okay, let's pivot. What do we need to do? Let's get clarity, clarification, moving forward. And it's a beautiful thing because it's like you just feel that energy just kind of like moving through. it's moving through the client, and then the contractor is even like, okay, yeah, we can do this, instead of,
Beautiful.
because just imagine if we weren't grounded and we came in with an ego, or we're just in our head, and you're siding with your client, and then, you're putting the contractor on the spot from that place, like it's not going to be a good outcome. So,
No, not at all. And if you are in the building industry, we have all experienced those interactions of the blame game, the ego game, the stress game. I mean, there is a reason the burnout rate in construction is as high as it
yeah,
is because
yeah,
the baseline is not coming from this place of teamwork, from an openness, from a spiritual perspective. It's coming from this, I mean, I think we can agree on this. It's coming from this very kind of masculine conquering energy. And I
yeah.
think where you are really creating a difference, Brian, is you're tapping into some of this feminine energy. And I mean that in a in the highest compliment.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
No, I get it.
but the feminine energy is also encapsulating teamwork and,
Yeah.
wanting to see the other person
Yes.
succeed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. It's definitely a balance of, masculine, feminine. We all have it, right? Like,
Yes.
don't. I completely understand that, and I hope your audience, I'm sure most of them understand, the balance of the masculine and feminine energy that you bring to the table. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I feel. I feel like, yeah, before I thought it was like a Libra, right? I just want balance, now it's like, no, yeah, it's balance, but we need balance from both sides, that energy, because a lot of my clients are women, or the woman, um, the wife or whoever, if they're, married, believe it or not, I don't know that, that's such a good point too, because even like married couples that I work for, I've been seeing a really beautiful balance, between the relationship. Of course, you get into a lot of situations too where, again, surprisingly, it's more women that contact me than men. Kind of early on, it was kind of like, the husband or whatever, they were just like kind of rolling their eyes. It was probably more of that, right? Kind of in the beginning, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," because it puts me in the middle, because I'm trying to kinda speak to the husband, to educate, to get him to softly, gently going, "Hey, this is real. This is really a thing. Your wife's not making this up, like,
Our
this is why she
sensitivities are real.
contacted me," right? Um, Now, Lauren, I get to see it a little bit different. I see a lot of support from the husbands,
Mhm.
and going, "Hey, yeah, like, I did the research, I've listened to my wife, and I totally get it, and I understand it." Like, it's crazy. That's like in the last 2 years, I've noticed quite a shift in that.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. I also think there is, something to be said that you are attracting the clients that also are, could be vibrating in the same frequency as you.
Yeah, 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 very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the ones that are, were, not good, bad, or indifferent, whatever, but just the ones we're just not on that same vibe. They just, go a different direction. So, you know,
Have you ever read the, Celestine Prophecy books?
I have not.
I think I'm saying that right. So far I believe there's 3, there may be more. But it kind of is walking through the hero's journey, so maybe similar to The Alchemist or,
All right.
The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, very similar kind of storyline, so I'm sure you can imagine fill in the gaps of a different plot, but they talk about, how when some people start vibrating at this very high frequency of an open heart, so much of that is the heart math work, but of love
Yeah.
and
Yes.
joy and
Yeah.
trusting in their higher source, trusting in God, that there are some people who may be of a lower frequency not even able to see the people,
There you
vibrating
go.
at the higher frequency.
That's a better way to put it. That's absolutely a better way to put it. That was beautiful. Yeah,
So they
I
may
agree.
not just be able to see you.
There it is. Yeah, that was so well done. I think you're gonna have to edit out what I said because what you just said was way better. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is a lesson that I had to learn the hard way many times, and recognize though that when certain individuals or clients or friends or people have entered my life, like there is a reason because there is a mirror there of something that I've had to learn, I've had to accept, I've had to forgive, I've had to release, and so it's easy to be like, "Man, that client was so frustrating." And it's like, "Actually, why was it frustrating me?" It's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
like I have to go within and see kind of what were the judgments that I made about myself." And that's real hard work to do.
Lauren, you're so far ahead of the curve, because there's quite a age gap between us, and later, like I'm learning that now,
I'm
you
learning it
know, at
now too.
but the older you get, the harder it is. So stay ahead of the curve. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's not easy or glamorous work to be honest and live a life of integrity either. Um but it's important work, and I believe it's because you and I both see, um, the work we're on this planet to do is part of our spiritual mission, and so,
Yeah.
within that comes a lot of that inner consciousness and soul work that is,
Yes.
part of the path.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. So as you're entering your birthday weekend, I'm really curious kind of some of the things that you wanna celebrate from this last trip around the sun, like anything that you're like, "Wow, I'm really proud of this that happened." And then I would love to know what you're looking forward to with this next trip around the sun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, thank you. I like the way that you set that up and phrase that, right? Because this year, celebrating this last year, a lot, so we have several big things in the pipeline, right? And I say we because it's just not me, it's a team, right? Synergy 360, it's all of us, right? You including you. And so I've been working on this platform called the Healthy Building Alliance. Um, it's been in the works actually probably for a couple years, but this year has been more, okay, it's time to do this, right? Like the the collective is calling for this, right? There's a lot of ideas and a lot of things and a lot of people popping up with concepts and ideas and promoting, but not to the level of where I'd like to see it. And also too, I've been working on, I have 40 plus acres of land, and I've shared with you this presentation of this healthy home community. This, since I built the last couple spec homes, I was like, okay, I flushed it out. I have it dialed in. Now it's time to build a community of homes. And I'm actually helping a client in Texas that they're building quite a few in south of Austin. And so I'm like, okay, cool. All right. They're going, okay, now I'm going to get my community going here. So this has been 3 years in the works. It'll be a 20 home community and basically showing that. So I bring in my investor and then I'm the contractor, I'm the project manager. I bring in my team of architects, which I have. I have my architects, I have my engineers, like, and I will be managing the entire project from start to end, all 20 homes. And the reason that I'm doing it that way is because I'm trying to minimize the lack of communication, the loss of communication, the getting all of the players on board, everybody working together very seamlessly. So I'm creating a controlled environment, if you will, because I want to prove when this project is complete, we build all 20 homes, that we can do this. The developers, investors, general contractors, we can now build these proven communities, and if it's done this way, it can be still cost effective. They're more upscaled, so it's not this the price points up there, and right now the price points are going to be a little bit up there when you're building to the scale of how I'm building. Like I'm taking healthy to like new levels, right? But we obviously the goal is to scale that down, you know, to make homes, affordable because right now, a sick home's barely affordable, let alone a healthy home, right? So I'm really celebrating that because we've launched it. I've the presentations out there, the financial portfolios out there for investment, and the feedback has just been insane, insane. I have people interested in wanting to already buy a lot, and I have investors saying we're willing to invest with you. And so now I get to vet the investors that are aligned that I'm aligned with. Like I just don't want any money, right? Just there's an opportunity here. Sure, we'll invest with you. Like I want it to be with somebody that understands the path and the mission. Going, I want to be part of this.
Mhm. I have a
You know,
vetting question for you to
yes.
find the right investors. I think you just need to ask them if they have a qigong, Reiki, Feldenkrais practice in the morning.
There. I mean, then it's done, right? It's like okay, Brian, let's do this.
Because I
There it
mean,
is.
w when tension could get high, we wanna make sure you wanna make sure that your whole team is rooted and grounded and
Yeah.
collected and centered and calm so that then when
Hmm.
any crux happens, you guys are able to make decisions from a very sound place. I'm just playing with you a little
All right.
bit, but
All right, you investors out there, like if you're into energy and qigong and Reiki and Feldenkrais and all these types of things, give me a call. Let's talk business.
exactly.
So it's definitely celebrating that. This, and then of course this year. I mean, I'm months away from breaking ground.
Amazing.
Just months away from having the first 9 lots and then the model home. So I'm just months away from breaking ground and starting that model. Plus, I'm building a shop, and it's all. By the way, this is all fast wall.
Mhm.
The whole entire project's gonna be fast wall, um, and we're gonna do some architectural pieces like with rammed earth. Like it might just be like an entry wall, So we're having a lot of fun with those two components, right? But I'm also building my shop now. So it just started. That's all fast
I
wall.
saw
It's
that on
going.
Instagram.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. With the real estate
Yeah,
agent
yeah.
that walked through? Is that your shop?
No, 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 that's the Quentin Branch, project that I'm
Okay,
building.
gotcha.
Yeah. So we're matter of fact, if anybody's looking for a rammed earth home in Oracle, Arizona, just on the other side of the biosphere, so we're looking for a buyer for that, for a homeowner that wants to buy that, and then we'll finish that up. But right now we're kind of pausing out the project. But all the rammed earth is done. Like it's a beautiful structure. If anyone's interested, come on out, take a look. It's awesome. Of course, Christy, who's I think going to be my realtor here in Arizona. She's really amazing, holistic real estate into the whole everything, right? Like that's another beautiful thing too, is we're seeing industry, change in the real estate, which is huge, right? Because that's the person that's the one that we need to close that gap, right? But no, the shop is going to be part of the academy, so we'll have on site. You'll People get to come in, learn how to build a rammed earth wall, get to
Mm,
build a fast wall block
fantastic.
wall, run all of the electrical. Everything's going to be all done to healthy. I know we're not really getting too deep into the weeds of the healthy stuff, and I know we've done it before, and we can talk about it again, of like the circadian lighting and the ultimate way to filter water and the non-toxic building materials and the building design and the envelope using like these mass wall systems, getting it deep into the understanding how to integrate modern technology with the electrical systems and integration and home automation on a completely very, very low EMF infrastructure, non-wireless, like everything, like solar panels, debunking this whole myth on everybody, you know, kind of putting down solar systems because of potential dirty electricity and all these things. Like you got to understand how to work with these infrastructures, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm basically just putting it all out there. to show
Yes.
the world, hey, you can build this. So the shop, that's starting now. And then, of course, all of the homes that we're building are basically the same type of construction that the shop is. But of course, they're going to be all beautiful and really nice, because I want every home. Because I've talked about this in the beginning, and I know this resonates with you. Like the home becomes the healing modality,
Hmm.
right? And so it's the tool, it's the healing modality, but I want the home to be like that day spa retreat.
Hmm.
Imagine living in a home and you feel like you're living in a retreat,
Yes.
like healing. We've got the, all the cold plunges, right? We've
Uh-huh.
got the infrared saunas and all the red light therapies and different aromatherapy, chromotherapy, steam therapy, y- getting like everything, right? Like imagine that all being built into your home.
Yes.
How cool would that be?
I mean, it's
So
the future.
that's yes. And so that's another piece of what these homes. So these homes are just they're beyond healthy,
Hmm.
right? These homes are designed to be a healing home specifically. So um yeah, so we're just months away from the community, days away from the building the shop. I mean, so the right that's huge. And then back to the building alliance is this platform, and I'll kind of this is my final piece that I wanted to share. And thank you for allowing me to share this. And I'm finally ready to unveil it. And this is kind of like our unveiling, right here, so hopefully everybody's watching all the way through this whole thing so they get to hear about this. But anyways, I here the inspiration was, I'm like, okay, I'm one person, and I have like this very specific style. Again, the energy, everything that Synergy 360 is bringing into the whole piece of it, right? Like it's really awesome. It goes deep into the like building biology. I was building biology before I even knew that building biology existed. However, I didn't have the insights that I learned through building biology. Then that just took it to like whole nother
Yes.
levels. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm down to the science, and then I'm incorporating the healing, the modalities, the health and wellness, the building biology, building science into building these homes, right? And so where was I going with that? Get me back
The
on track.
Healthy Building
Where
Alliance unveiling.
Yeah. Yeah, the unveil oh, yeah. So it was like, how do I recreate myself? Thank you. Because I'm one person with this philosophy, and I'm like, well, if I can share my philosophies with all of the building biology principles and all these different in my methodologies and what I've vetted through the years and working with top engineers and the top people in the industry, I put all this together. Now I can train contractors, I can train architects, I can train designers, from a builder's
Mhm.
perspective, right? And have an academy to where we have a system that everybody can go through. Yeah, a little bit kind of like building biology, very complementary of a lot of the stuff I learned through the building biology. I just put it in my own context
Mhm.
of from a builder's perspective, but again, more advancements of like the modern technology of like circadian lighting
Right.
and geeking out and getting into all
Mhm.
that stuff. And so we're building a course curriculum, for again, whether it's an architect, as a designer, a general contractor, a realtor, a functional wellness doctor, specific HVAC, electrical trade, everyone, right? Mold remediation, mold
Engineers, even.
inspector, engineers, everybody. So this is a platform. It's going to be it's a directory platform where people go through, get educated, and then they're in this platform all through the whole US, right? There's an academy, there's a community. So now, a consumer in Pennsylvania wants to, going through some issues, whether it's mold or Lyme or just looking for like a healthy home. Now they can go into this community and put out there that they're looking for, what they're looking for. And then there's a directory to where they can find them. They can find the healthy home builder in their town. They can find a mold
Mhm.
inspector that actually gets it, right?
Yeah.
Because we know mold inspections kind of all over, right? Um, and there's specific ways of what you and what we're looking for when we're doing our mold inspections, right? Um, and the biggest thing to this platform is it's there's a vetting process where background checks, like, so
Amazing.
anyone that goes on there to find a health professional or a trade or a building materials for that matter. These are all vetted, trusted sources. So somebody knows. It's like what we talked about in the beginning of our conversation, right? Just by what was that? What was that? What was that example? Um, Wendy Myers, right? Like, so, you know, like somebody, referral from Wendy Myers, they must know Synergy 360, must know their stuff because they've been vetted by Wendy to even be on the podcast. It's the same thing. Somebody goes onto this platform, it's like, oh, this is incredible, right? Because now it's like I have every trade professional from doctors to
Mm,
realtors to inspectors and environmental practitioners, like to trades, like everybody will be vetted, and this is a community I'm creating again. So now we're creating this huge community. And now I get to take myself and then clone myself and magnify myself and like create this whole thing on such
yeah.
a bigger scale than myself,
Yeah.
because it was just like these downloads, the energy, just like what I'm here to do. And how do I do it? Just being one person. I'm like, well, this is how I do it,
Yeah.
you
Brian,
know?
will you be offering hands-on learning for people to come and see the materials, touch the materials?
Yes. Yes. So part of the Healthy Building Alliance, there's our academy. And then the academy, that's why I'm building the shop here in Tucson, Arizona. So it'll be like a 5-day immersion where, we come in, we get hands on. And of course, there's a finished product, right? And it's all done with like all the color beam lighting, the circadian lighting you've been hearing me talk about, right? Like, all the healthy dry walls, healthy radiant systems, healthy HVAC systems, and how we're using, ventilation, and how we're using, extreme HEPA filtration for good, filtration through the house, right? Like so we'll have the project done, but also too, I'm going to have a shop side to that, to where we're building like mock-up walls. Everything will be set up. We'll have classroom time. We'll get to learn all the ins and out of all the different, I came up with my 12 core
Yeah.
principles, and it's architectural and building envelope and design, and, electrical, water, plumbing, HVAC, building materials, non-toxic building material, the whole thing, right?
Amazing.
Like, so all these principles, we'll be going through all these principles on site, and people could touch, see, turn on, measure, experience the whole thing. There's not like to this degree, and I've been part of, rammed earth building. I've been part of like these training,
Yeah.
and it's cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
There's some cool training, but there's really no like finished product to this scale,
Right.
and I'll have that here in Tucson.
Well, I'm so glad it's not just theory and it's also application, because I think about my my favorite moments even this year have been my hands-on learning and training with hempcrete or cob or even the plasters, specifically most recently, like learning some basics of Cadillac. Like, it takes all this theory that we've gathered and makes it very real because of that brain to body connection. We need to touch it and feel it for, at least I do as an
Yes.
artist, for it to become coherent in and of itself. So, the fact that you're offering that practical hands-on piece is critically important. It makes me so happy for
Yes.
you. I mean, count
Thank
my
you.
husband Ryan and I in. Like, we want to come for a 5-day
Yes.
immersion
Oh, I mean, you're
experience.
you're already on the list. So
Sounds amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm so
yeah.
happy
No,
for you.
I
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, thank you. So those are big celebrations, right?
Yes.
So that's it's been really coming together this year, and by the end of the year, we're breaking ground. We're launching the alliance, right? Like this year, so just a lot to celebrate in this year and next, and looking forward on everything to come. In this next circle around the whole solar system. Oh, there's a lot that's gonna happen. So by the time I hit 53, I'm already like, yeah, there's gonna be a lot to celebrate, and there's a lot to celebrate now, but there's a lot to celebrate in the future too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, let's leave the listeners with some words of wisdom, Brian. How might you encourage somebody that may be up and coming in this field? Maybe they're a conventional builder or a conventional designer, and they're wanting to get into this world, but they're not quite sure how to. Like, how might you offer some wisdom for someone in the trade and even somebody that may come and be a part of the alliance one day?
Right there, like that's what like I don't want to be so like pro alliance, but that's why I created the alliance. Like join the alliance, like
Join
go.
the alliance.
um I know it's just I'm like because I've been getting that question. I'm like, well, just join the alliance and you'll get all this stuff, right? And truly it's only because the alliance is this platform that's going to open you up into the whys and the who's and like like, oh, so we have holistic realtors, right? We have holistic builders, we have integrative functional wellness doctors that understand this. Oh, we have mold remediation companies that understand this. Oh, there's an academy. There's a curriculum that we can learn and kind of go through. But also too, and I want to put a lot of credit to the Building Biology Institute, as I know you do too. And even if it was just taking the 101, going through the advocacy, I think that should be like number one because that's just going to give you like the principles of it all. And then like coming into like the Healthy Building Alliance or working with Synergy 360, I just take those principles and I just crunch them down, and then I target very specific areas in construction,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I'm just the construction version of like the Building Biology Institute, if you will. So definitely go out there, educate yourself. The advocacy program, the 101, I mean, that's a simple, inexpensive program that takes a little bit of time to learn, right? I think that's number one. And then also to reach out to Synergy 360 and, jump on a conversation with me and, maybe I can help, guide somebody in the direction, right? But the Healthy Building Alliance will offer a lot of that.
Yeah. So education is probably the number one.
Education,
Yeah.
education, communication. It's so big, like I was never the best communicator. I went through my times of, being that contractor. I had the big old ego. I knew what I was doing. I went through all that. Right? And so I get it. And that's why I feel like I can speak the language because it's like I drank the Kool-Aid, but now I understand the scientific value of that. I understand the health value of that, right? And so I know both worlds. I've been in both worlds. And I feel like just bringing that together and learning how to be open, right? There's another big takeaway. Like be open. Like let's understand this, just don't look at it and go, "Ah, that's just something I'm not interested." That's too like I think you'd be surprised. Like it's actually really cool as from a builder when you come into this to really start geeking out behind the scenes of the science of like, trust me, builders, if you're on this watching this, come out and look at our wiring systems, what we're doing for like just like color beams, 100% low voltage, all of our lighting is just on
Mm,
Cat 6 cables. Like you look overhead and you look at most of the wiring, it's all like Cat 6 cables.
yeah. Wow.
The wall controllers, Cat 6 cables. Like it's pretty mind blowing. And even electricians, when they come out to the sites, they're just like, whoa, this is crazy. I didn't even know this stuff existed.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. So be open because I think you're going to be surprised to see really behind the scenes that again, we're not chasing green. We're not chasing eco-friendly here. We're taking the art and science of all this technology and then like a lot of the building biology, and then I'm putting it all together and creating something that's pretty darn amazing. So
Mhm.
be open to learning,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Totally. Totally. Be open and then watch the synchronicities occur for sure.
They will. And
Beautiful.
go hey, and go through Reiki one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like come home within. become aware and
Yes.
mindful, and all of those practices will serve whatever industry someone is in, whatever.
Hey, maybe we'll have Reiki 1 training in the academy.
I
So
mean, you could at least start every morning off with some qigong practices.
100%. 100%. Yep. Biohacking, spiritual, whatever, like it's all very beneficial for us,
I was so jealous of you and Zara hanging out, talking all nerdy stuff, building biology, biohacking, I mean, optimization. Like my favorite thing about the building biology community is how nerdy and nuanced we can all get.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We all go down the deep rabbit holes
Ugh,
together and
I'm just so grateful for this
it's
community.
yeah, the community is huge, and I know Zara, she's like just she praises like the community, right? Because that's how we all meet. It's how you and I met.
Yep.
It's how Zara and I like we're all coming together. Amazing people. Yeah, been a real delight for Zara because she's international, right? Australia, and she's a big piece of change of building
Oh my
codes and
goodness.
educating contractors on what they need to gear up for all the codes that are changing and
Mhm.
coming. Like she's doing some really powerful work. We're all all of us in this building biology world are doing very powerful work, and in our unique ways, and we're all coming together. And so the alliance is even going to bring us together even more so.
Join the alliance. I'm just gonna poke fun at you about that from here on out if you're cool with
You have to. You have to. Yeah.
that. I
As
love
long
it.
as nobody makes fun of me for, the whole, salute from I don't none of these weird salutes or anything like that. So this is all good,
Oh,
no
yeah.
Elon Musk, salutes or anything.
No,
So
far from that, Brian. You don't have to worry about that at all. Yeah, well, I love your
oh,
vision, I love your heart, and I appreciate all the wisdom that you dropped in today's hour and
absolutely.
16-minute conversation. It's so valuable, and,
Lauren, thank
yeah,
you.
I'm just
Yeah.
excited to be here with you on this planet at
Yes,
this time together.
truly.
Yeah,
Yeah, and thank you for all the connections. You've made some really amazing connections, and you've been a huge advocate for me, and I'm so appreciative for you. So thank
you're
you.
so welcome, Brian. Well, um, until next time, I'll talk to you
Till
soon.
next Talk to you soon.
Thanks.